I want to go over this video.
Mr. Prime Minister, Mr. Defense Minister, General, allow me to introduce myself. My name is François Rousseau. I'm in charge of an informal research group, which does not appear in your organization charts. Our president, to whom I personally and exclusively refer, thought it useful, if not necessary, that I clarify for you a certain number of issues. The thing that has initiates you're better informed than most people. Allow me to doubt it. At this very moment, things are taking place. They are somehow serious enough for the informations and documents that I kept for you be revealed to you now. In a word, a manipulative operation unparalleled to this day on a planetary scale is being implemented and will be the final subject of my talk. As regards our era, everything in reality started just before World War II. Hitler had broken certain taboos, such as taking recourse to occultism and secret societies.
Okay. So it's interesting. You see the sword. Now, the American Cancer Society will show you a sword upside down from the one you see here. Okay? So it's also interesting that when you look at a Nazi, when you look at the swastika, for instance, now there are swastikas, is an ancient Sanskrit symbol. Everybody has used it. It's a sign of the sun, the sign of the perpetual continuation of the sun's spin and rotation. And also, okay, with this symbol, okay, so you also see the knot, okay, that wraps around this sword. You could equivalent to a sword also as a cross, so to speak. So it's almost like what you would call as you would turn this sword upside down. This was the key to the disciples and the allegory for the disciples all being hung upside down. So I know there's a swastika. They've showed swastikas. The ancient swastika that people seem to have forgot, that's over in the area of S4. And we will continue on.
A Nazi organization assigned with, among other things, archaeological and anthropological research, found this during...
Now, take a good look at that. Because it's my belief that, and I don't feel comfortable talking about stuff like this. To be honest with you, because I was told not to. So this is just for me, really. So here's a very, very interesting picture. We're gonna find out where this picture is taken from.
An expedition to Afghanistan.
Where did it say it was? Okay, Afghanistan. So I know a lot of people think why we were over there and have been over there, but people really have no idea. This same craft, okay? This same craft, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if this is one of, because it looks very similar to what I've seen before, to the one that they did back engineer, okay, among other ones. So this looks very similar to that.
This flying object is called Vimana,
Okay, Vimana, like he's saying.
or Astra by
Or Astra.
the Hindus. Moreover, during exploration of the subsoil by the Russians and Chinese in 1927,
Okay, this guy talks really fast, so let us piece this together here. He is saying this is an archaeological dig that happened in 1927. Okay. Interesting times, interesting date. Okay. By Russia and China. Okay.
traces of a very ancient nuclear explosion.
So here we are talking about nuclear explosions. People want to know why these UFOs, they come around in these nuclear hotspots. Okay. Specifically around military installations and places where they have they may have the ability to harness atomic energy. So I know what people propose to think, that there's really aliens out there, but these are men viewing other men's mistakes. Humans viewing humans' mistakes. So, and like Bob Lazar say, oh yeah, the craft was basically injection mold, like hot wax or something like that, and they were little tiny seats, like little green men are flying these around, and doing this and that. Yeah, sure, okay, yeah. No, these were men.
Were detected. Certain sedimentary layers had been atomically vitrified 50,000 years ago.
50,000 years ago. 50,000 years ago. Was I around 50,000 years ago? Were you? So, what happened on Mars? What happened to us? We're going to find out.
The very same phenomenon can be observed around today's nuclear test sites. One must understand that Hitler, thanks to these discoveries, which he took highly seriously, was going to open a Pandora's box which no government, whether friend or enemy, wished to close afterward.
So Hitler was going to open Pandora's box.
Behind tragic history, which we all know, lies a theory based on the existence of full moons associated with the four geological cycle. According to Hans Erbiger, founder of
Okay, so this man is saying something about the full moons and the four geological cycles. Okay. It's interesting. I've seen something advertised about the term moonfall come out.
world ice theory, the Earth had undergone 4 semi-global extinctions of life due to the fall of one of these moons.
Okay, so one of these moons fell. And if you're listening to him, he's talking about the world ice theory. Okay.
Effectively, as one goes along, the satellite moved closer, gravity changed, and triggered some deep mutation of the genetic standards, thereby creating a race of highly intelligent giants measuring approximately between 10 to 13 feet tall. Several tens of thousand years later, the moon crashed. The impact causing a serious rise in sea levels and a nuclear-like global winter. This race of giants was to disappear.
So he's saying a nuclear-like global winter. Okay. See, I have reason to believe that CERN was the cause of maybe something along these lines. And I have reason to believe that the Anunnaki are the story of us. The story of us in a way that, like us, we destroyed our planet. Okay. And that we were in search for gold to find and to utilize as some way of stopping this catastrophe from happening again.
Here due to a terrestrial gravity which had grown too powerful and incapacitating for their unusual size. Hitler was initiated to these doctrines, and contacts with Tibet in particular were frequent. The Nazis sought contact with the survivors of ancient civilizations, holders of ancient technologies like the previously described Vimanas.
So the reason why Hitler was going to the yogis and in Tibet and searching for, ancient civilizations, because he wanted their perspective. It's well known that they keep the best records. Okay, so I can't remember where it's from, somewhere in India, and they have ancient Sanskrit records that record, our daily events, what's going on, names. You've heard of the 400,000 year Sumerian kings list. Okay. So Hitler was in search of these ancient civilizations that could really tell the true story and record of us, so to speak.
One of these civilizations spread out over the entire planet, more than 600 pyramids made of stone, earth, and even iron. These pyramids are almost all pointed in the same direction, all have the same proportion as number pi, and all situated in magnetotelluric nodes.
Okay, so he's saying they're all situated around the number pi. Okay, we know that God, in the Christian faith, God loves the number pi. It's a sign of infinity. It's the sign of the Fibonacci sequence. It's the sign of the never-ending spiral. Okay, now he's saying there's 600 pyramids all based in certain magnetic areas. So you see, this looks like, this may be Angkor Wat, but he's showing there's 600 pyramids all around the entire planet. So
the oldest are in Asia.
So he's saying the oldest ones are in Asia. I have no idea where this one's at. But I know he's going to mention that there are some. So this is the last civilization they did this. So a lot of people say Enoch built the pyramids. Some people say our thoughts built these pyramids. Some people say Thoth built the pyramids. So it's a very interesting.
Two of them are submerged, one south of Japan at Okinawa, and others south of Cuba. These two were built.
Okay, so two of them sunk. One in Japan, one in Cuba. Okay. So I'm going to have to look into this Cuba one because this is very interesting as well.
It's about 12,000 years ago.
As he's saying, 12,000 years ago. This coincides with the Younger Dryas. And the impact, Okay, what was this impact from? We do not know, but I am more than guessing. Because I heard somebody say to me, "Hey, Mike, so what is the Big Bang? You know, what is this Big Bang? What is going on here with this Big Bang? And is it man-made? Is it caused by CERN? By each time that they make a Big Bang or a collision, okay, at a certain teravolt, you know, whatever, certain voltage, whatever. Is this the reason why they have to create more and more of these colliders? Is this the reason why that we're not being told the truth about the accident that happened at CERN? And is this why we live in mirror world? Is this why? Is this? Because I also heard that you know, with the asteroid belt, the hammer, the hammer bracelet, so to speak, was this cause of a planetary collision? Okay, and in the asteroid belt that we so-called have, called the Kuiper belt, whatever, is this cause of this? Was this the cause because of what CERN had done? Was this the reason that our ozone layer is depleted? Okay, is this the reason why cancer is so prevalent? Are these the reasons why? Are they lying to us about these things?
I began by this small archaeological reminder for this region. Our civilization is the fourth of the cycle which I described previously.
So he said the fourth of the cycle. So they're talking about the full moons. He's talking about these full moons. And he's saying that our civilization is the fourth of the cycles. So you know about the Kali Yuga cycles and, you know, stuff in the Vedas and things like that. So we are the fourth civilization.
Yes, I know that might well hurt our pride. We're neither the first nor the last. One must understand that the study and understanding of several recovered prototypes were the absolute priority to ensure Nazis' domination over the skies. The Allies...
So it's saying here, he's strictly saying that, hey, the Nazis want to rule the skies. So when you heard Trump start this Space Force and things like that and the wars in space, and you hear people talk about the 100-year wars, and you're seeing history repeat itself from World War II, and you're seeing the plague repeat itself from 1918, you have to start thinking about these things.
in parallel focused on mastering atom and creating the first nuclear bombs.
Okay, so this is the part where Admiral Byrd talked to the master down in Antarctica, and he said, you're kind, okay, you're an honorable man, but you're kind, and the military-industrial complex has learned, okay, to harness atomic energy, okay, which has a ripple through time and the future and the things like that. So next he's going to get into, so this is why they do these big explosions here, you know, in S4 and stuff like that and things like that. So they're and it's my theory that they popped something and destroyed our ozone a long time ago. Okay. And we are slowly feeling the aftermath effects of this ripple.
These secret bases were the center of all research supervised by the Nazis. In one of these bases worked Victor Schauberger. Father bases were the center of all research supervised by the Nazis. In one of the...
Now see, if I recall correctly, okay, like I was saying, how the golden eagle on the Nazi. This is interesting to me because I'll have to go and look at this again. If I recall correctly, this eagle's head was not pointed left. In Egyptian in Egyptology, when you look at the sign of the Holy Spirit and the Anzu bird or whatever, you see its head pointing left. But I thought that the bird's head with the Nazis was always pointing to the right. I could be wrong. So I'd like to find that out. Okay, so yeah, so you see sometimes, so I'm just curious. Okay, with the eagle looking over its left shoulder, that is looking to the right from the viewer's point of view, it symbolizes the Nazis' party and was therefore called the Partei Adler. Okay, so, alright, well, we'll get out of that because I see that it doesn't.
These bases worked Victor Schauberger, father of the Nazis' UFOs. Schauberger headed the Real Society in charge of anti-gravitational research. He died.
So he's mentioning anti-gravitational research. They've been hiding it for decades. They hide it from us still.
Died in 1958 in Texas, while working under protection of the United States on the improvement of his own flying saucers, which have since become American.
Okay, so now the Nazis' flying saucers have now become American, he's saying.
You will quickly understand that 70% of unexplained aerial phenomena are human in origin.
And over 70% human in origin.
And in no way extraterrestrial. Once World War II was over and Nazi technology had been systematically plundered by both Americans and Russians, the first challenge was to carry on and even complete the Nazis' research in great secrecy. The program called Project Rainbow, especially known.
Project Rainbow, here we go. Now, if you want to know about Project Rainbow and if it's still going on, well, I have an answer for you. People might not like to hear it, but it begins with a why.
For the Philadelphia experiment was the immediate proof. Mathematician von Neumann, who collaborated with Albert Einstein and Nikola Tesla on behalf of the Navy, succeeded in accidentally teleporting a Cannon-class destroyer escort, the USS Eldridge.
And people want to know if they're still doing. Yes.
These photos.
And you know what I really find fascinating, okay? What I really find fascinating about the Eldridge, and it made me when I was looking into Scientology and the basis for Ron L. Hubbard and the things that he was saying, and the things that the whole idea of the the seaboard and the things like why he used that boat and the things and the legalities of the boat on, okay, not docked, okay, and being out in the water. And what exactly he used that boat for, I'm sure Ron L. Hubbard was in the know, okay, with some people, okay? I'm sure of it.
Supplied by Morris K. Jessup before his suspicious death are rare testimonies for this unique experiment. In the same time, the first Indo-Aryan technology prototype trials did not go by unnoticed. The military had come up with a more efficient parry than secrecy. At about the same period, Kenneth Arnold, U.S. Air Force pilot and CIA agent, launched the greatest operation.
So, as I was just saying with Hubbard, okay, here you go with the CIA. Here you go with the CIA, UFOs, Stargates, this and that. Okay, and here he shows this boomerang looking thing.
In manipulation ever concerning the existence of UFOs, making people believe they didn't exist, was not the right solution and clearly insufficient. Discrediting enemies and frightening the population by systematic misinformation proved far more efficient. UFOs and parahuman belong henceforth to the movies, television, and collective paranoia, and not to the realm of scientists as it should have been the case. In May 1947, the American Secret Services discovered the existence of an ancient terrestrial UFO secretly recovered by the Russians.
Okay, 1947, they find this crashed UFO discovered by the Russians originally.
Which had crashed into the Altai Mountains along their border with Mongolia.
Okay, next to Mongolia. Okay, so I'll have to look into that too. So what exactly was it doing there?
Tension between the two blocks immediately rose a serious notch. The discovery was spectacular, and so not to lose face, the Pentagon, in tandem with the CIA, decided to tell lies and imagine a huge bluff. To convince both the Russians and the world at large that they too recovered a UFO in Roswell in July 1947. Of course, it wasn't true. To convince both the Russians and the world at large that they too recovered a UFO in Roswell in July 1947. Of course, to convince the discovery was spectacular, and so not to lose face, the Pentagon, in tandem with the CIA, decided to tell lies.
So the Pentagon. So I don't want to hear anybody that says the CIA doesn't work with the Pentagon and vice versa. And lie.
And imagine a huge bluff.
So they create this huge bluff. Wag the dog.
To convince both the Russians and the world at large that they too recovered a UFO in Roswell in July 1947. Of course, it wasn't true, but the bluff worked all the same.
Playing you.
In February 1947, imagine a huge bluff. The discovery was spectacular, and so Altai Mountains along 47, the American Secret Services discovered the existence of an ancient terrestrial UFO secretly recovered by the Russians, which had crashed into the Altai Mountains along their border with Mongolia.
So he's saying that the U.S. Secret Service discovered this craft in the Russian mountains. So my guess is they brought this thing back, okay, and took ownership of it, okay, brought it back, and then claimed that there was a crashed UFO, okay, in Roswell to convince Russia and the world that they found their own. Okay. And this bluff worked.
Tension between the two blocks immediately arose a serious notch. The discovery was spectacular, and so not to lose face, the Pentagon, in tandem with the CIA, decided to tell lies and imagine a huge bluff to convince both the Russians and the world at large that they too recovered an UFO in Roswell in July 1947. Of course, it wasn't true, but the bluff worked all the same. In February 1949, just after the so-called Roswell incident, an UFO was photographed and filmed in Antarctica. It was the first photo of this type of a cigar-shaped object. Other appearances were then to follow in one another by cyclic waves. At the same moment, the Apollo program, headed by Werner von Braun.
I mean, so you see what's going on here, okay? So this happens. See, I'm starting to get really upset at this. Okay, so 2 years later, there's cigar-shaped crafts now being spotted in Antarctica. Okay, now, I'm curious to know what the moonfall, and the Ice Age has in kind of relation to Antarctica. Because I'm sure they're all directly connected. Because it's my theory that we're frozen in time, so to speak. Okay? So here you have von Braun. Okay, here you have von Braun. This man, good friends with Walt Disney. He starts taking off with the rockets. Now, we know that rockets, they do not shoot straight up. They have an arch to them. Okay, so this arch, would probably be evidence of a flat plane, of some sort. Okay, so let's see. Now we're getting into the sci-fi.
Was in full swing, and Dr. Brown in no way favorably welcomed the demand for paranormal experiments, which nevertheless took place during certain Apollo missions.
And so it's saying von Braun did not welcome it for paranormal experiments, but we know about Crowley, we know about Parsons, we know about Jack Parsons, we know about the whole Babylon working thing, we know about all these kind of sex magic, sex orgy, faking. See, that's another thing too. Faking deaths. Faking deaths, putting on a show, an act to entertain maybe the gods, so to speak. Maybe the gods. In order to possibly arouse a reaction.
This is the last known experiment on psychic and telepathic amplification, as well as detection of citron particles emitted by the...
Okay, so now he's going to talk about... They're taking this yogi here. There's yogi, this man, and they're studying his brain and his consciousness and his psyche, and they're using cyclotron particles for something here he's going to go on about.
Yogi towards the Apollo capsule. But this...
And this is, on the Apollo capsule, he's saying this. They're doing these tests. So I also find it very interesting that there's that little blue dot. I know it's probably the projector, but it's interesting nonetheless.
Tests were all eclipsed by the systematic appearance of...
As you see, you also see these nuclear almost explosions in these spots on the moon. And as you see the UFO right there,
Identify objects around orbital flights and the discovery of traces of civilization on the moon.
Now that picture, I want to go back because this picture really, I know this is real. Okay. As you see, pyramids on the moon. They wiped everything. They lie to you. They lie to me.
By the Yogi towards the Apollo capsule. But these tests were all eclipsed by the systematic appearance of unidentified objects around orbital flights and the discovery.
So I find it fascinating in the shape of this. As you see that big hole up by the pause sign.
Discovery of traces of civilization.
So they found traces of civilizations on the moon. As you see, this is a kind of interesting that they have the 3 pyramids too, also on the moon. Could the moon be related to Egypt? It just as well as may be. Probably.
On the moon.
Like I said, I've witnessed some things make contact with the moon. Boom, boom, boom. At a certain time. 3:33. I know people said, yeah, the Tower of Babel is on the moon. They have towers on the moon. They have space stations on the moon. But yeah, they have all kind of stuff on the moon. You just don't know about it. That's the one I want to talk about because that is it. That is an egg-shaped craft, okay? And I've seen this one before in my dreams. This very specific ship, whatever you want to call it, rock, whatever it is, it looks like Enki's egg-shaped ship, okay? With a hole in it. This is absolute truth. I know it is.
NASA had to face an avalanche of data and embarrassing proofs. The only solution.
So I also want to see this blue flaming streak. So this is kind of interesting.
NASA had to face an.
Now you see that blue flaming streak right there up in the top part? It's almost at like 12 o'clock. See that blue streak? I'm kind of curious to know what that is.
Avalanche of data and embarrassing proofs. The only solution was to put everything under the cloak of defense secrets.
So, this guy's saying the NASA, they were caught. Okay, there was an avalanche of data. That data that may have went missing, maybe? Huh? That data that may have went missing. But anyways, the Jason directive comes in, wipes out all evidence, all photographs of any prior civilization, of any prior evidence of what they've done on the moon, what they may have done and what they haven't done, and what's on the moon and what's not.
1971, the Jason directive set up a special retouching service whose
Retouching service. Now, as you can see, there's the what is that? That reminds me of Epcot at Disney. That's what that reminds me of. That little thing right there. That whole dome right there. That reminds me of Epcot at Disney.
purpose was to erase all signs of civilizations.
Let's just whitewash that. What do you call that? We call that let's see. We call that, let's just use the term, to blot out would be Ex ali aleafo. Okay, comes from ek. The aleafo, the wipe, to wash, to smear completely. Kind of like what they've done to our whole history.
Especially in those photos intended for the general public and the press.
Especially those photos for the general public and the press. Yeah. And yet they still are in existence today. You know, if I didn't have a family that I care about, you know what? It's not even that, because they would absolutely not allow this to be shown. I've seen how quick they could come on and cut the live TV. They could cut the TV. They could cut all, like that guy who called from Area 51. They're going to triangulate on my position right now. They're going to triangulate on my position. I don't have a lot of time on the Art Bell Show. You know, I know that guy said, I was joking. You know, I was joking. He was probably paid to say he was joking. Or he just wanted to do it to get a reaction. But he certainly got a reaction from somebody. They shut his whole shit down. They shut Art's shit down. They shut down his studio. They shut down Extra Generator. They shut it down quick. And those are the same people, those ones in charge, who don't want you to know about our history or any fucking thing, and they don't want you to tell it. Instead, they want to blot it all out, whitewash it, do all this and that. Those are the same people that would shut down those probably nuclear sites. Right? Men of past.
In June 1965 has appeared this in a satellite report in the area of Deception Islands, south of Argentina.
This is in the section. Now, do you see that? The section of Argentina. Now, do you see that bullet almost like it just ripped through the water? This bullet that actually looks like it literally looks like a bullet going through the water. All of a sudden, this thing just phew. Now, as you could see, I'm sure that this might be part of what David Wynn was talking about when he was saying that they found, okay, this UFO that still reacts, doesn't allow you to get close to it, still reacts. Now, I know they found one that looks like the Starship Enterprise too, in the I don't know if it was the Black Sea or the Bosnian Sea, or I don't know, somewhere, but
The Russians tried to sabotage the refloating operation in vain, despite...
Okay, so the Russians tried to atomize this thing to failure. So they were trying to, like, I guess, trying to get, okay?
Despite the violence of the confrontation, the flying object was finally brought back to Edwards Air Force Base in California.
Okay, so they brought this back. Now, you see the Russian, the Americans, these are our allies. I don't know why people can't see that, okay? So Edwards Air Force Base in California.
And 10 years later, the first anti-gravitational drone using magnetohydrodynamic propulsion, or
Magnetohydrodynamite propulsion. Anti-gravity.
MHD, made its debut test flight in the desert around Edwards Air Force Base, where a number of prototypes came into being. The Belgians got a small glimpse of so-called UFOs in 1989 and 1990. The incrimination model was a triangular-shaped Astra TR-3B or XR-7, capable of flying in total silence at more than Mach.
Now, you want to know what I really find interesting? Because this picture right here, and I said to myself, well, what are these chemtrails? What's the deal with these chemtrails, really? Okay? I said to myself, I want to know what these chemtrails are really about. What's going on here? Because I was watching this really good Rex Bear and Steve Olson video, okay? And they were talking about the purpose of these chemtrails. So they destroyed our atmosphere and ozone layer. And these chemtrails are spraying these particulates to shield us from the radiation, okay, from the sky. And Rex was saying that they really do a lot of this spraying in Colorado and in certain areas more than others, but they spray everywhere, okay? So I think these chemtrails have a twofold meaning. One of them is to spray heavy metals to basically shield us maybe from these cosmic rays or these radioactive particulates that would damage our skin, basically fry us, genetically mutate us in ways like the last civilization, probably. So you'll see, like, when the UV is completely astronomically just insane high, and these type of things. So I find it very interesting that because I've sought out the reasoning behind it, and I can't find no other explanation. And what I've been digging to find out the other explanation for it, because I know it has a twofold meaning. So my other theory, now of course I'm just a man. I don't have jack shit. I don't know jack shit. I'm just putting my brain, trying to put the connect the dots. Okay, so. And I was searching, like, could anybody explain, like, meanings behind these chemtrails? And you get the normal bullshit, yeah, the normal, wag the dog stuff that they put out there, throw it out there to cause disinformation, misinformation. And then I came across a guy, because I like to really mess with the algorithms, and I like to find the least viewed things, okay? So I found a guy that said chemtrails hide UFOs, okay? So, ding, 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 ding. That went off right away. I don't know why. I connected with it, okay? And so, here we go again. Lying about our history, lying about our past, covering up things that we should see. Because everyone's like, well, we should see these big planets out there that they show, and these big objects that come close to us in, certain times. And they may be covering it up, So this reaffirms what this guy had put and what I was thinking, that the chemtrails hide the UFOs as well. So it's interesting. It talks about in the book of Enoch, hey, some angels taught men metal workings, the spirit of the ways of metal workings, So as you see here, this is clear cut, okay? Those chemtrails are opening up a conduit somehow. Because I was first thinking that, hey, these planes, because somebody once said these chemtrails, these planes are demonic. Where are they coming from? Then I heard from another source that's saying, hey, one in every plane that you see up there in the sky is Skynet. Okay? Now, I know it sounds fantastical, but it's believable. So one in every plane that you see up above us is Skynet. Okay, because I moved past the point of saying, normal people you try to explain this stuff to, and normal people are like, those are just planes. Those are flights. People are flying. Okay, all right. So I've now reached the point where I don't have normal conversations with anybody because I can't. So this basically solidifies what I was thinking, and then I was thinking that, hey, maybe the UFOs, they're somehow connected in a lower dimension, and they look like planes that are leaving chemtrails, or they're working in conjunction with a shadow government, unseen government, or an unseen force of some sort, that because these TR-3Bs are government man-made. Okay, so it wouldn't surprise me one bit if they know the flight paths and they say, hey, this TR-3B is at this location. Fly this plane, fly the chemtrails, over at this time, or the planes and the chemtrails are UFOs in a lower dimension. Do you get what I'm saying? These are just my crazy thoughts.
10. Now I would like to speak to you about another concrete application of such technology. The B-2 bomber, whose development started in 1982. The official B-2 stealth bomber, which flew for the first time in 1989, was to serve as cover for another unconventional B-2 to be built in parallel. This top-secret model used, among other things, a plasma creation system, exploiting the airflow like an MHD generator. This system produces ionization of the air around the B-2, thereby...
Now this is very interesting to me. So he's saying that these B2s produce ionization. Now I just watched a Mr. MBB 333 video that was showing extreme ionization. The ionosphere was lit up on half of the hemisphere, the sky. Okay, so I'm wondering what in conjunction with this has that to do with this. And also in coordinates, there was Yellowstone activity as well. All at 7:29.
By suppressing air resistance.
Now you notice it's 2:08 on my phone. They're saying 1982. It's also my opinion that these UFOs, they're in control of time as well. The way that we perceive time, they are in coordinates and in conjunction and to the very present moment.
While ensuring total invisibility for any type of radar. This nuclear bomber has flown for 15 years now at more than Mach 10. It can fly around the Earth in just a few hours without being seen. Naturally, such military research was to give rise to many commercial spin-offs. Over the last 10 years, we've seen the appearance of dozens of non-lethal armaments like E-bombs or electromagnetic bombs, as well as, of course, microwave weapons and powerful lasers.
Interesting.
The U.S. Department of Defense, through the multinational Raytheon, decided to invest a gigantic amount of money in an experimental program called HARP,
HARP. Okay, I know a lot of people think they know what HARP is. Okay, so I have theories about this as well.
High Frequency Activate Auroral Research Program, and it was quite a program. Officially, the base in Alaska studies the ionosphere. In truth, the real possibilities of the installation are enormous. Climate manipulations.
So you know why we're fighting weather wars? You know why the weather is all messed up? I just watched the weather forecast today. So it is 26 degrees out today where I am at. It's going to be 70 in 3 days.
Deep detection of underground base or deposits, silent and remote destruction of any object, and most important of all, manipulation of human behavior.
And there you go. Let's see, if you look into the Monarch files, okay, they can control your brain with low hums and electronic low frequency waves to keep you asleep. They could even beam the voice of God into your head.
So, in 1996, a Russian satellite discovered in Antarctica the almost intact wreck of an immense spacecraft, revealed by the melting of the glaciers. The ice.
So, I just seen on somebody's video channel. Okay, so these are with the glaciers, the glaciers melting. Okay, and I forget what he said. 1996 revealed this UFO. So, it's my opinion that Greenland, they're also gonna find a UFO and proof of God, so to speak. I don't know.
Samplings indicated a crash date some 24,000 years ago. At the same moment, a volcanic eruption on the Deception Islands, the same islands as before, forced the Russian to request help from the United States.
Okay, so when these glaciers melted in this site, this ship was seen. All of a sudden, volcanoes are going off. So this UFO had a reaction. Okay, obviously to the melted ice, and obviously possibly because people got close to it. This is what I've heard.
It's given the urgency and importance of recovery of the vessel. In the end, they suddenly dropped it all and evacuated the zone in panic. The device was finally destroyed by the Russians, extremely upset by the situation, which was no longer working to their advantage.
Okay, so he's saying that, hey, they had to destroy this thing because it was, they were scared.
Country will have such opportunity again. And this foolish action as bad losers on the part of the Russians was only to reinforce the position of the Americans as regards extraterrestrials. If this account has seemed somewhat long despite my efforts to simplify, it was absolutely necessary to get to the subject I mentioned previously. The plot known as the Orion Conspiracy. Our research group is convinced that UFOs constructed by the Americans or the Russians will be used to support an hoax attack on the Earth of extraterrestrial origin. The media taking care of the rest, of course. The reason? Once the threat of international terrorism has dissipated, the war economies of the major powers, with the United States at the head of the pack, will need a new enemy in order to still prosper. War on Earth will be replaced by space war against an enemy from beyond.
Okay, so this would be the same kind of talk that Ronald Reagan gave. And, create an unknown enemy. Okay, say we're at war with forces out there, and it's all the same show. War makes money.
So then, gentlemen, I thank you.
So I'm going to stop it right there.